Stephen Curry, the boy who changed basketball. Let's take a journey through the incredible story of one of the most influential basketball players of all time, Stephen Curry. If Stephen Curry is your favorite player, make sure you watch until the end and let us know in the comments. Because this is not just a story about basketball, it is a story about believing in yourself when nobody else does. A little boy, a basketball in his hands, and a dream that seemed almost impossible. Nobody knew that this little boy would one day change the way basketball was played. His name was Stephen Curry. The player who was once questioned because of his size would eventually become one of the greatest shooters basketball has ever seen. But Curry's journey was never easy. The beginning. From a young age, Stephen spent countless hours practicing basketball. He didn't just play, he studied the game, he looked at his mistakes. Then he worked to fix them. Again, and again, and again. While others were focused on becoming bigger and stronger, Stephen focused on becoming better. His greatest weapon slowly became his shooting ability. He practiced shooting from farther and farther away. And over time, those impossible-looking shots became his specialty. But there was still one big question. Could Stephen Curry really make it to the NBA? The doubts. Stephen wasn't the biggest player, he wasn't the strongest player, and many people wondered if his size would prevent him from succeeding at the highest level. But Curry didn't allow those doubts to control his future. He believed in his ability, he believed in his work, and most importantly, he believed in himself. Then came one of the biggest moments of his life. The NBA draft. In 2009, Stephen Curry entered the NBA draft. The Golden State Warriors selected him with the 7th overall pick in the first round. But being drafted was only the beginning. The questions continued. Could Curry handle the physicality of the NBA? Could his shooting work against the best defenders in the world? Curry didn't answer with words. He answered on the court. The three-point revolution. With the Golden State Warriors, Curry slowly began to build his reputation. And then his three-point shooting started changing everything. Curry began shooting from distances that many players rarely attempted. He could pull up from deep. He could shoot while moving. He could create space with his ball handling. And suddenly, defenders had a completely different problem. They couldn't simply wait near the basket. They had to defend Curry much farther away. That created space. That created opportunities. And it changed modern basketball. Curry wasn't simply playing the game, he was changing the game. The first championship in 2015, everything came together. Stephen Curry and the Golden State Warriors won the NBA championship. The player many people had doubted was now a champion. And Curry was named the NBA's most valuable player. The dream was becoming reality. But Curry wasn't finished, not even close. The unanimous MVP. Then came the 2015-16 season. Curry reached another level. He became the first unanimous MVP in NBA history. His shooting was incredible. His confidence was incredible. And his influence was becoming impossible to ignore. Kids around the world started practicing three-pointers. Young players started copying his ball handling. And a new generation began growing up watching Stephen Curry. Championship after championship, the Golden State Warriors continued their incredible run. They won championships in 2017 and 2018. With players such as Kevin Durant, Klay Thompson, and Draymond Green, the Warriors became one of the most dominant teams of their era. But success doesn't mean there will never be failure. There were difficult moments too. The hard times. There were injuries. There were painful losses. There were seasons when things didn't go according to plan. The Warriors faced criticism. Curry faced criticism, but he never stopped working. When things became difficult, he went back to practice. When he struggled, he worked on his game. When people doubted him, he kept moving forward. That mindset became one of the most important parts of his story. The comeback. Then came another unforgettable chapter. In 2022, Stephen Curry and the Warriors returned to the top. Golden State won another NBA championship. And this time, Curry won his first NBA Finals MVP award. It was a special moment because the player who had once been questioned was now standing at the top of the basketball world again. More than a shooter, But Stephen Curry is more than just a great shooter. He is a great ball handler, a great passer, a leader, a teammate, and an athlete who changed how young players think about the game. Before Curry, many players were told to stay closer to the basket. But Curry showed an entire generation that shooting from deep could become a major part of basketball. His influence reached far beyond the NBA. The records. Curry continued to break shooting records throughout his career. His three-point shooting became legendary. He eventually became the NBA's all-time leader in regular season three-pointers made. And every time he stepped onto the court, fans knew they might see something special. One shot, one dribble, one moment, and suddenly, the entire arena could explode. The legacy. But Curry's greatest legacy isn't only about records, it's about inspiration. He showed young players that greatness doesn't always come from being the biggest person on the court. Sometimes it comes from skill. Sometimes it comes from discipline. Sometimes it comes from confidence. And sometimes it comes from refusing to quit. The lesson. Stephen Curry's story teaches us something very important. People may doubt you. People may tell you that your dream is too big. People may focus on what you cannot do. But you don't have to let their opinions decide your future. You can work, you can learn, you can improve, and you can keep going. Because talent might get you started, but hard work can take you much further. The final message. A little boy once picked up a basketball. He had a dream. He faced doubts. He faced challenges. He faced failure, but he never stopped believing. That little boy became an NBA champion, an MVP, a finals MVP, a record-breaking shooter, and one of the most influential players in basketball history. His name is Stephen Curry, the boy who was doubted, the shooter who changed the game, the player who inspired a generation, and the legend who never stopped believing. Because sometimes the greatest stories begin with one simple thing, a dream. And sometimes all you need to make that dream real is the courage to keep shooting. This is the story of Stephen Curry, the greatest shooter of his generation, the player who changed basketball forever, and the man who never stopped believing in himself.